So in this tutorial, we're going to create a heart in Illustrator, similar to the one we have here. Let's start with the rectangle tool. Draw out a rectangle. Press V to put that in place. I'm going to go to Edit, Copy, and then Edit, Paste in Front to create another layer. Now I'm going to click and drag this corner around and then hold Shift to get it at a 90-degree angle. Highlight these two, twist them back to the center there. Come over to my Shape Build tool. Now I'm going to hold Alt to minus the shapes, click and drag, remove that, click and drag, remove that. Use the Direct Selection tool, highlight these two corners, third, highlight all four of these corners, and then I'm going to drag that down then to create the top of the heart and release. When I'm happy with the shape, highlight these, use the pathfinder, unite the shapes with the pathfinder, and now I have my simple heart shape as such, and I can use the align to center this on the page. The next step then, let's create the additional pieces for this heart. Going to Object, Path, Offset Path. Let's create an offset of, say, -40. Press OK, I'm happy with that. I've got this shape here. And then I'm going to also create a duplicate of this by holding Alt and dragging out. If I come over here and look at this there. Now I'm going to create the cut to create some type of shadow. To choose the ellipse tool. I'm going to drag an ellipse over the top of this. Now, to better see what's going on here, if I come over to my Layers panel, and then if I hold Command or Control and press, I can switch into outline mode. So I can drag this and see where it's going underneath. When I'm happy with that, then switch back then by holding Command or Control. I'm going to highlight these two, and then I'm going to use the pathfinder then, and I'm going to use the minus front to get this shape here. Come back over to the center. I'm going to do the same thing now with this. Let's use another ellipse, draw out an ellipse. Let's switch back into outline mode by holding Command or Control and clicking. And then I'm going to arrange this then until I'm happy with it. Something as such, come back out. And then once again, use the pathfinder, use the minus front option. And then if I use the direct selection tool, I can just delete these additional bits as such. Now I want to align this over the top. So I can either use the smart guides or I can highlight these, use the align panel, align to key object, select my key object, and then I can align to the right and to the bottom. So now that aligns these two perfectly. So the heart shape's coming together. I can add a little bit of color to this now. So if I select the central heart shape, if I drag out my swatches panel, I'm going to add a gradient to this, add a radial gradient, and then using the swatches, then I'm going to drag in the colors I want. So let's add a central red, and then let's add a magenta on the outside, and then let's adjust this as such. Press G, and I can create a gradient and play around with the controls until I'm happy with what I've got. Press V to confirm that. Let's bring my swatches over to one side. This section then, because it's going to be more of a shadow, I can add a darker red to that, and then I can bring down the opacity then, just so I get a little bit of this background gradient coming through, but not too much. Highlight these two then, remove the stroke, and then I can do the same then with this. I'm happy with the whites there. You know, if I do want to bring down the opacity on this a touch, I can. And there you have it. So the last thing I want to do then is add this final touch here. Let's go to my star tool. So I'm going to click and drag out. Then I use the arrow key to get to a 4-point star. And if I hold Command, I can make the points as long as I want. Release, use the selection tool, and then I can drag this in as such. Bring my swatches over here. The last little bit I want to add to this, go to Effect, Stylize, Outer Glow, and then if I add a white outer glow, bring up the opacity, bring up the blur, just to give it a bit of polish and gleam. Bring that all the way up to 100, press OK, and then I can add this onto the side then. The last thing I want to do, add this background. So I'm going to use a rectangle tool, draw out my rectangle. Let's add a gradient, radial gradient, and then I'll have white with a touch of orange. Let's drag that over there. And again, I can use the slider to add a little more white to this. Going to send this to the back and then just play around with these final little pieces until I'm happy with them, and maybe then make this a touch smaller by holding Alt and Shift and dragging that in. So there I have my heart. So there's a very simple way to create a heart in Illustrator using a variety of different techniques. Got a little bit of shadow in there using gradients and also using the pathfinder and the shape tool to create some little extra bits to it. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you got what you needed from it. If you like this tutorial, please subscribe, turn on notifications. Let me know what you thought of the tutorial in the comments, and let me know of any future tutorials you would like to see from this channel. And until next time, keep on designing, and I will see you next time for the next tutorial.